Welcome to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the art of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I finished the game, the main story, I would say about a month and a half ago. And right now the DLC is coming out, so you have the Yule Festival that came out last month or a month before, I forget which, I think it was January, maybe December, I forget exactly when it came out, but I played that. And this month, Ostara just came out, and I finished that along with the River Raids. So, as tradition, I always read the Assassin's Creed books, whether it be the art book here, or the novelizations of the game, or anything to do with the game, usually after I complete the main story. So, this has been I've been so busy, but this video should have been done months ago. But we're here now. So thank you for coming on the journey with me, and let's open this up. Here's a foreword from Raphael Lacoste. The beauty of untouched nature and majestic open landscapes has always filled me with a sense of wonder. It triggers my love for travel and adventure and stimulates my curiosity. The world of Assassin's Creed Valhalla may not feature as many landmarks and architectural structures as previous Assassin's Creed games, but I strongly feel that it showcases the most diverse natural scenery we have ever created for the franchise. From the snowy high peaks and precipitous fjords of Norway, to the lush rolling hills of East Mercia, through the mystical forest of Puzzlewood, and the arid hills of Shropshire, and the foggy wetlands of East Anglia, this journey will be a memorable one. Before going into production, we had the opportunity to visit England, Denmark, and the beautiful Lofoten Islands in Norway. The memories and photographs from that field trip guided the creation of our illustrations. Our aim was to craft memorable moments for the players, reminiscent of those we had experienced during our travels, and to bring them on an epic journey through a fascinating open world. As an art director or visual artist, it is very important to focus on the overall impression you want to convey throughout the world, rather than getting lost in too many small descriptive elements. Our world is not a literal recreation of reality. In fact, our objective is to design grandiose settings that would evoke emotions for our players. We strive to challenge ourselves to build worlds that can provide pure escapism. In the last 3 years spent working on this game, we've been committed to bringing the most interesting world to life for our players to explore. Very early during the game's conception, I decided to help the player locate themselves in the world of Assassin's Creed Valhalla by establishing distinct atmospheres and color palettes for our different biomes. This led us to assign a static season to each region, which greatly impacted the visual direction of the game. A frigid winter serves as the backdrop for Norway and Northumbria, while Mercia is set in a vibrant fall, and Wessex a lush summer. This helps the player to keep a mental map of the world, but also to discover new lands with an interesting feeling of change. Additionally, the contrast between the lost epic ancient Roman architecture and the modest buildings of the 9th century creates a unique and mysterious atmosphere. The resonance of the past is everywhere, and this keeps players intrigued as they journey through the game. I am very happy to embark on this adventure with you. Art is meant to be shared, and I am grateful for the opportunity to showcase our work through this book. I am proud of our talented teams and what we've accomplished. As a great friend and artist once told me once, it's no small task building universes. It's a dedication of a lifetime. This is from Raphael Lacoste, June 2020 in Montreal. So we have chapter 1, the characters. Here's Eivor. Raised as a warrior, Eivor of the Raven clan is a fearless Viking who leaves Norway to subdue England and build a thriving settlement for the clan. Playable as a female or male, both versions of the character convey similar personality traits, wear the same outfit, and have comparable physical features. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has been designed to deliver the Viking experience within the Assassin's Creed world, says senior art director Raphael Lacoste. Eivor's character design needed to achieve a specific goal. We wanted to move away from the established assassin visual archetype and create a true Viking character. Eivor's final design only contained subtle elements that would hint to their assassin background, like the red sash and the hooded cloak. And then it shows here this hidden blade is a gift brought back by Eivor's brother Sigurd from his travels to the Abbasid Caliph. I can't pronounce that. Abbasid Caliphate. Its design is inspired by the beautiful craftsmanship of the Abbasids. Raphael Lacoste. Customization is a very important element in our game, and we designed various outfits for Eivor, says Lacoste. Each outfit expresses a unique theme, be it rooted in a specific historical era or in one of the different Viking factions. There are even outfits inspired by Norse mythology. Eivor is a skilled warrior and strategist, and is also stubbornly independent, says concept artist Yelling Kim. We looked at lots of different pop culture references as we developed Eivor, but one that gave me clear direction was when creative director Ashraf mentioned the tank light scene from the original 1995 version of Ghost in the Shell during one of our early meetings. Eivor is a leader indeed, never hesitating to risk anything for their clan, even though the consequences could be self-destructive. Before designing details, the most important thing is always composition, says Lacoste. This is why we first spend time working on shapes and silhouettes before moving ahead with details. Lines first, less is more. This information is essential when development reaches production in 3D, allowing the artist to more accurately describe specific character details to the character modders. And then here Raphael Lacoste says, among these early explorations of Eivor, done by Jeff Simpson, this one is my favorite. It captures the essence of the character, the pose, the charisma, and the uniqueness. Yellem designed this full outfit for Eivor on the theme of the Valkyrie, says Lacoste. In Norse mythology, Valkyries choose warriors from the battlefield to be rewarded in Valhalla. The wings recall the traditional representation of these figures, who choose those who may die in battle, Lacoste continues. Although the mythological Valkyrie is a female figure, we wanted to design the outfit in a way that allowed it to be associated with both of the characters' available genders. This is male Eivor right here. Some important customizations are the choices of tattoos and haircuts for both female and male Eivor, says Lacoste. We wanted to give our player the freedom to customize the hero to suit their taste, while using Norsemen as the main theme and reference. Almost all of our outfits have several levels. Here, from left to right, we have the common, epic, and legendary outfits. So these are these right here. This is the mythical outfit. We spend lots of time designing outfits to ensure that they make great rewards for our players. For the hunter outfit, the artist wanted to explore several levels of customization and reflect the relevant theme with annual trophies and pelts. With animal trophies and belts. And here, Pierre Ravenel says delving into a mythological aesthetic allows for fun and creative ideations. Make sure I didn't skip a page. No. Okay. The overall idea was to go full knight with this outfit, even though the type of armor didn't appear until a few centuries later, says Pierre Neveu Ravenel. And there's an exploration of the male version of Eivor. Jeff Simpson did this one. Here's Sigurd, son of Sturgeborn Halderson and stepbrother of Eivor. Sigurd is a cunning jarl and warrior with ruthless ambition who initiates his clan's departure for England. Mixing these earth tones with a turquoise color, as well as the rather fancy prop and weapon finishes, added a lot to the proud and noble Sigurd, says concept artist Remco Troost. And here's Randvi. Randvi is the clan's chief of war strategy, Sigurd's wife and Eivor's trusted friend and advisor, says Yellin Kim. She is not a raider anymore. Now she spends her time planning her clan's actions in the war room of the settlement. As a strategist, Randvi does not dress in a warrior's outfit, but neither does she wear the typical woman's clothing of her time. Here's Valka. Valka is a young Volva, devoted to her craft and to the worlds beyond. The seer is an important figure in the settlement, a direct link between the gods and the people, says senior concept artist Pierre Ravenel. I wanted the outfit to reflect that point. Also, Valka is secretly a bit of a fashionista. And Pierre Ravenel up here says these are quick explorations of ceremonial outfits. Kjotve the Rich is the leader of the Wolfings, the rival clan of the Ravens in Norway. A huge and commanding brute, he killed Eivor's father during a raid years ago. Kjotve's costume design reflects his affluence and wild warrior aspects, as Yellin Kim. Here's Ivar Ragnarsson, who led the great heathen army into England before the arrival of Eivor's clan, soon becomes one of her powerful allies. A bloodthirsty thrill-seeker, Ivar is an intense and impulsive character. He is described as one of the greatest land-craziest Vikings, warriors of his time. I found that Ivar conveys this energetic, aging rock star vibe, coupled with the personality of a violent psychopath, says Yellin Kim, but he can also be likable. Basim. Basim is a Syrian assassin within the ancient Brotherhood of the Hidden Ones. He and his apprentice Hytham met Sigurd and his Norsemen in Constantinople and accompanied Sigurd back to Norway on a mission to get rid of the Order of the Ancients in Northern Europe on behalf of the Hidden Ones. And then here, visually, Ashraf wanted Basim's outfit to resemble the traditional longtime assassin's robes with the same color palette, says Raphael Lacoste. We added more leather pieces and rugged elements adapted to the colder climates of the north. This is an early exploration we did for this character. Here's Hytham. Hytham is Basim's young apprentice. Dedicated to the cause of the Hidden Ones, he abhors the Order of the Ancients and their strict hierarchical worldview. He is helping Eivor locate their members in England. As an apprentice, Hytham has not earned his red sash yet, for the sash is solely reserved for the rank of mentor. And then Remco True says, for Hytham, I tried pretty straightforward shapes and less shading in order to focus on a simple design. is King Alfred of Wessex. So here, right on this page here, it says, Alfred was envisioned as a stern and determined man with a regal demeanor devoid of pretension. The cross in his hand symbolizes his devotion to the Christian faith. And then down here, King Alfred declares war on the Vikings. Eddie Bennon did this art here, and Jeff Simpson did this art here. But Yellam Kim says, as the youngest of 5 children, Alfred was not expected to be a king, yet this complex man took the throne of Wessex when his last brother died. A master strategist, he has succeeded in maintaining control over his kingdom, preventing the Norse from conquering this greatest Saxon stronghold of England. So those are the characters. I guess the main characters, you could say. Here's Norway, Chapter 2. A beautiful and unforgiving land. After Egypt and ancient Greece, Norway offers a fresh new setting for our players, says Raphael Lacoste. We were very excited to bring this world to life. During our scouting trip, we took a lot of pictures, recorded sounds, went for hikes in the Lofton Islands, and made sure we had a lot of inspirational material for the team. This setting is a bold contrast to those in the previous games. The landscapes, atmospheres, and lights of the northern lands are so different from our previous worlds. It was a great opportunity for the team to experiment with new visual directions. During the challenging and rewarding journey through these unforgiving lands, the player will discover high mountains, fjords, forests, open waters, wild animals, and enemies. The weather is always changing. Certain areas will even be hit by snowstorms, and the world will always feel different as it's experienced during various times of day. Norway offers otherworldly and grandiose landscapes that will be extremely memorable in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Martin Deschambault did the art here. So all 3 of these were done by Martin Deschambault, and Raphael Lacoste did this right over here. This is a black and white sketch of a Norwegian fjord by Martin Deschambault on this page. And then over here, in the bottom image, I wanted to create an iconic vista that showcases the beauty of Norway's churches, wooden churches, or hof, blended with nature and framing the entry of the Grand Norwegian Fjord, Raphael Lacoste. Martin Deschambault did this one here. And here. Raphael Lacoste did this. The 2 images above were paint-overs of screenshots that were done during the last few months of the production, says Giles Billoyle. The idea was designed in a more interesting way the path for the opening of the game, because it is important to make the path very clear and good-looking at the same time. We had to take extra care with this part of the world. Creating an interesting world for a game doesn't mean it has to be realistic, says Lacoste. We always work hard to find a good balance between credibility and creativity to offer the best opportunities to our players, making sure we trigger curiosity, constant interest, and fun. So Giles, or Gillet Billoyle, I can't pronounce it, right over here. And then this is Martin Deschambault over here. The Northern Lights brought a very unique flavor to our nights in Norway. When we traveled there for our scouting trip, we were lucky enough to see them. It was memorable and moving. Raphael Lacoste. Exploring Norway with our Drakkar offers a very different perspective on exploration, says Lacoste. In Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the player not only can access the fjords from above by climbing mountains, but can also navigate in open waters and rivers to raid different locations with their crew. And Martin Deschambault did all of this. All right, Dong Lu Yu did this up here. And the bottom art over here is Jean-Claude Golvin. Jean-Claude Golvin worked with us on Assassin's Creed Origins and joined us again to share his historic and artistic knowledge. He did this map of Kapoing, an ancient Viking town, to give us an example of settlements and village layouts from this time period. Raphael Lacoste. And then here, Gilles Beloil. Raphael wanted these two paint-over concepts to be more colorful than they had been originally. They had to look cold in terms of temperature, but warm in terms of ambiance. Norsemen. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has an unprecedented number of factions for an Assassin's Creed game. Our focus was to ensure that we created a variety of outfits and equipment styles that were all unique, clearly identifiable, and memorable, says Lacoste. We did a lot of exploration concepts for the Norse faction. Jeff Simpson did this. The team took inspiration from various martial, historic, and mystical styles to design the equipment and clothing for the Norse faction. Bold silhouettes and stances for each archetype are key to ensure immediate allegiance and identification by the player in the game, says Raphael Lacoste. Here's our Shield Maiden archetype explorations. Jeff Simpson did the art. Here's the Wolfmeister archetype, the Slayer archetype. It was fun to push the concept of the Vikings, which is firmly grounded in the Dark Ages, says Evan Mill Amundsen. And Evan Mill Amundsen again. The simpler versions of the Vikings still had to exude that kick-ass mentality. Weapons. The team's goal for the weapons was to capture the brutality of the era while encouraging plenty of freedom for player expression. The Viking invasion provided a vast playground where we could create iconic designs that incorporated both Norse and Saxon elements, focusing on their traditions, myths, and technologies, says art director Danu Chungyap. Jose Maria Lorenzo Gomez and II and Trey Bartolome did this art right over here. Okay, we're at chapter 3, which is the Viking Voyagers. The Norse were master shipbuilders. Long ships were used to raid settlements, but also for long-distance trade. This helped the Vikings travel all over the world. I wanted these illustrations to show the beauty and variety of the landscapes the player will discover in Norway, says Raphael Lacoste. It was interesting to illustrate the icy waters and epic rock compositions we could recreate in this world. We made sure to bring an unforgettable visual treatment to our first territories. So this art was done by Dong Lu Yu, and these pages are Raphael Lacoste. This longship is inspired by Helheim, a realm from Norse mythology, says Daniel Chungyap. The frozen wolf is based on a mythical beast that races on the icy land in Jotunheim. The dark ritual-themed ship, skulls and skeletons are some of the main elements that accentuate the sinister look, says Dongyun Chongyap. The Blood Eagle-themed ship, the hand-carved wooden eagle painted with blood and Viking insignia, helps to sell this theme, says Donyu Chongyap. So Guang Yu Tan did this art at the top of the page, and Wee Wee and Tony Zhou Shou did the rest. The figurehead is inspired by mythical Niflheim realm. The Helmheim figurehead needs more bone decorations. Alright, we're at chapter 4, which is the East Mercia and the settlement. Ravensthorpe. Now remember guys, Ravensthorpe, if you haven't played the game, is your home base basically. Eivor settlement Ravensthorpe is based on the Assassin's Creed team's historical research and is intended to provide players with an authentic Viking experience. Improving and defending the settlement and taking care of its inhabitants is a primary goal in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. The settlement is an important part of the game. A lot of work went into its design, says senior concept artist Gilles Beloil. The idea behind the concept art above was to give as much information as possible in only one image. I worked on a very high-definition file to be able to fit in as much detail as possible. The right image was created first and shows how the settlement could look once the player has completed it. The version on the left was created next. We were then able to dig into more precise details such as the house interiors and facades. Each house has a certain theme, and we needed them to be immediately recognizable to the player while maintaining their Viking identity and a visual harmony with the rest of the settlement. Different shops were created in order to highlight the wide variety of services that are offered in the settlement. So this is the fishing hut. No, this is the fishing hut right here. This is where you get your weapons done. This is the bakery. This is where Volka was, the seer's hut. And this one, I don't know which one this was. I forget. This bottom one here. Unique props were designed to reward players for different achievements, says Dong Lu Yu. Yeah, these are the settlement decorations you can place all around the settlement to liven it up with these. You can unlock these. The interiors of the shops were also carefully crafted to create a memorable experience for the player as they spend time in the settlement, says Dong Lu Yu. This is the interior of the tattoo shop. Ruins reclaimed by nature. The East Mercia region, where Ravensthorpe is located, is in the heart of England, says Raphael Lacoste. It features a beautiful lush autumn forest. The distinctive forest of beech and old oak trees surrounds ancient Roman structures, elements which give the region its own unique texture. It was exciting for me to bring these mystical old trees found in the ancient forests of England to life. I wanted this image to show how interesting this could look in the game, with a landmark beech tree near a Neolithic ceremonial site. Raphael Lacoste. I wanted to create an image that emphasized the lost Roman Empire's presence in the underwater areas of the game, says Don Lu Yu. And then here, in this interior, the warm candlelight contrasts with the blue exterior light during the confrontation between Eivor and the bishop. Don Lu Yu did this too. Lincoln Roman era. This map of Lincoln during Roman times served as a reference for the team to create the game's Anglo-Saxon version of the town. An Anglo-Saxon village in Mercia looks like this. Jean-Claude Golvin's work allowed the team to render an authentic layout for the Anglo-Saxon towns and landscapes in the game, which were structured around the inhabitants' activities like agriculture and livestock farming. The heart of Lincolnshire. The image above is from a series of concept art pieces created to represent the city of Lincoln in the region of Lincolnshire. I needed to put thought into the surrounding landscape while also considering the level design and the juxtaposition of Roman ruins and Saxon houses, says concept artist Dong Lu Yu. In the image on the far right, I needed to design the courtyard for the Assassin Bureau, says Gilles Beloil. We put the assassin crest at the bottom of a Roman basin so the player could locate it and understand its purpose from above. Some more concept art here. Before adding color, lighting, and detail, we want to make sure the composition of our landscapes, environments, and locations are varied, interesting, and memorable. This is why we always work with gray values on the first version, says Raphael Lacoste. Up here it says, I needed to bring more visual depth to the port here. I added vendors, ships, fishing nets, and rocks to make the place look more organic and realistic. I also improved the lighting and the general mood, says Gilles Beloil. And then here's London. Chaos reigns in the bustling city of London when it is first discovered by the player in-game. In contrast to the vast, colorful landscapes and cities of other locations, London is desaturated and less vibrant in order to accentuate the gritty aspect of the city, located on the border of East Anglia and West Mercia, says Donglu. A paint over to dress up a street in London. The addition of tents, food stands, and crowds heightens the living and breathing aspect of the place, says Donglu Yu. Raphael asks us to work on concept art of the game's vistas, says Gillet. Be loyal. This would help create a unique experience for the player when seeing England from the sky. As they developed this work, artists carefully considered mood, color, and the positions of trees and streams. Mostly we had to play with the light and the shadows of the clouds on the ground, so the landscape would exhale this visual richness, Belial continued. We realized that the sky should be somber in order to push this very dramatic ambiance. Bandits. The challenge with the bandit faction was to make them as much a reflection of the world as a faction in themselves, says artist Evan Mel Amundsen. These people are broken in spirit and lacking resources, and with that you can build some pretty great archetypes. They're true underdogs. Here it says various bandit archetypes, including clockwise from the top left. 2 militants, the rogue, the pyro, and the destroyer. It was fun to imagine the rogue archetype who explodes out from the trees and undergrowth with relentless aggression, says Edmondson. Here's one of the Bear Master. These 3 images were part of the work we did on the vistas. They were especially helpful to the lighting team, says Galil Loyal. Crowland. I really enjoyed creating the setting of Crowland in the Lincolnshire region, says Donglu Yu. This is a place that perfectly showcases the post-Roman world. The ancient Roman church was covered with overgrown vegetation to create a sacred and nostalgic feeling. The image below is a piece of Cranning Village concept art with houses on stilts and Celtic-inspired colonial conical roofs. The player will encounter these villages in Celtic regions and swamps in the game. Okay, we are up to Chapter 5, West Mercia. This image showcases the vast landscape of England. The lushness of the vegetation, the blue sky behind the heavy clouds, and the rich greenery growing alongside the river were all key points for composing the scene, says Donglu Yu. And then down here, the landscapes of West Mercia are dry and mountainous. It creates a nice contrast with the lush lands of Wessex and East Mercia. Castles and villages like Brogues and Crannogs were inspired by Celtic architecture and add a unique flavor to this region, says Raphael Lacoste. Here are some Celtic Highlands. This is a Celtic village with different kinds of houses. I gave myself a challenge on this one by painting it with a flat front light, which meant I couldn't rely on shadows to make it look good. The shapes have a limited range of light values, but a lot of variations in hues. It was difficult, but my goal was to make it look like a 19th century Russian painting, because Raphael gave us its style as a visual reference. It was fun to paint it that way, says Gilel Beloyal. Architecture in the Dark Ages was often limited to simple wooden walls and straw roofs, which was quite boring artistically. Luckily, large forts and other remnants of Roman architecture helped us to bring more interesting composition, structures, and verticality into the game, says Raphael Lacoste. Saxons. The challenge for the Saxon home team faction was to distinguish them from the Vikings, as they are historically quite similar visually, says Evan Mel Amundsen. The art team achieved this goal by exploring variations on helmets, shields, and harnesses from the region and era. It helped to create a separate, distinct style while still having vibrant archetypes, as Amundsen. And the soldier archetype is seen on the left, and the bondsman archetype to the right. And here, the Reaver archetype has a design inspired by the Predator. It was fun to mix modern visual codes with ancient ones, says Pierre Ravenel. The flag bearer archetype was one of the first that I did for this project. He's a bit stiff, says Pierre Ravenel. And then here, this is possibly my favorite concept in the batch I did. The final version is fully armored, though I like the barbarity of this uncovered arm, says Evan Amundsen. Several Neolithic standing stone sites, including Stonehenge, are featured in the game. These are truly mysterious locations and printed with a pagan aura. Gloucestershire. The Gloucestershire territory in West Mercia is filled with pagan traditions, mystical forests, and Celtic rituals. The part of our world offers its own vibe within our game, says Raphael Lacoste. The challenge in designing interiors is that brown tones prevail because the one interior light source available in those times was fire. We used openings to the outside to bring exterior light in, and we added vegetation or water reflections to bring more colors to interior locations, says Giselle Beloyle. The concept art depicts the Samhain festival in Gloucestershire, which makes the end of the harvest season. For those of you who don't know what Samhain is, it's basically Halloween. And then on this page here, the part of Gloucester is vivid and colorful. We can hear boats arriving, fishermen selling the day's catch, birds chirping, and people busily loading up merchandise from the port, says Don Liu. This concept art features a brooch in ruins. The presence of these prehistoric circular stone towers is another example of the varied environments the player will discover in the game. This is concept art for mysterious crypt found below a castle. A high-level mood piece for Trelfden Castle. I was inspired by traditional paintings for this piece, leaving visible brushstrokes and paying close attention to the color palette, says Dong Liu. Chapter 6, East Anglia. Elmenham. Elmenham is the home of Oswald, a Saxon noble designated to reign over East Anglia, territory where both Saxons and Danes coexist. The village is jubilant, and its buildings are well maintained, a big contrast to the war-torn climate that dominates East Mercia, says Don Yu Chong Yep. And then over here, a Saxon and Viking wedding scene, balancing both cultures to convey a joyous occasion and mood for this location. Assaults. Assassin's Creed Valhalla sees the player lead Viking armies to attack enemy fortifications. Some early explorations of the assault feature are seen here. The team was challenged to strike the right atmosphere and tone during the siege of the fortresses and castles from the ocean in order to achieve believability during these sequences. And then down here it says a Viking chief oversees the battle unfolding beneath the ramparts on which he stands. And here, Viking longships charge toward an English fortress, laden with explosives to attempt a violent breaching maneuver. Eivor leads a nighttime Viking raid on a bird castle right up down here. And up here, this fortress's walls lie in flaming ruins after the Vikings employed a daring tactic using a charging flaming boat and explosives. Paladin Fulke. I don't know who this is, though, but this is Fulke. Agnostic paladin and a formidable fighter, Fulke seeks to acquire the secret knowledge of the true transcendent God in which she believes. She has collected strange and sacred artifacts and writings that, for her, confirm the supremacy of her beliefs. Bassam and Sigurd believe Fulke can help them find a mysterious stone engraved with runes to unlock divine secrets. They free Fulke from the prison in which she's been kept on charges of heresy, but will discover the true nature of this new ally further along their journey. Fulke is the embodiment of "I won't let anyone come between God and me," says Pierre Ravenel. Savage. Oh, wait, what does this say up here? Oh, okay. This is exploration of a Saxon soldier. There's Fulke. An early grand vista that explores the game's calm feature, or cairn feature, I should say. I'm sorry. Cairn. A dramatic depiction of a Viking beach landing. And then down here, a concept of the Northwick market. The mood in the area seems to be pleasant, but trouble is approaching from over the horizon. A concept piece that explores a potential gameplay feature which would employ formations of flocking birds to guide the player to interesting locations. I don't think this ever came into the game. Not yet. But I don't remember this at all. An exploration for the Saxon marksman archetype. Additional Saxon archetype concepts including from left to right, the flag bearer for the huscarl, the noble, and the archer. Northwick. Eivor arrives in Northwick in the immediate aftermath of an attack by Rued's clan, causing havoc in the city where Saxons and Danes otherwise reside peacefully. The capital of East Anglia is a topographically flat town that contains the remains of a Roman coastal fort. It is built on the River Yare and surrounded by marshlands. Down here it says, early concepts of an impoverished fishing village that explore the area's potential layout. And down here, our artists designed the otherwise empty flatland and grassland environments to be richly complemented by nearby architecture. The imposing and mysterious castles serve as a central point of interest in each piece, giving the compositions an epic feel, says Raphael Lacoste. Right. Chapter 7, Wessex. A land of bucolic beauty at war. Wessex is a rich and vast kingdom ruled by King Alfred, and also the last line of defense against the Vikings, says concept artist Eddie Benoon. It's a territory where serene summer fields, mystical forests, and pretty villages and farms contrast with the cruelty of the war. The assaults on forts are some of the most memorable events in the game, says Benoon. Our goal was to immerse the player in these epic battles with cinematic accuracy and realism. The colorful pastoral landscapes of Wessex in summer showcase the vibrant colors of its fields and its bluest of blue skies. Eivor's raven, Sinan, provides a clearer view of nearby locations and makes scouting of enemy positions. Enables scouting of enemy positions. The player can observe the beauty of Assassin's Creed Valhalla's universe by using the raven, says Benoon. It was very important for the concept art to assure that the world will look consistent from both the ground and the air. The colorful patches of agricultural land shelter small cozy villages, and the iconic lonely rock formations of Dartmoor contrast with the ancient forests, all elements of the picturesque land of Wessex, says Eddie Benoon. A mix of cultures. In addition to beautiful nature, Wessex is also home to different past and present cultures that live in a bizarre symbiosis, says Eddie Benoon. Additionally, it hosts surprising discoveries and memorable places. The mysterious Chichester Monastery is built on the epic ruins of an ancient Roman aqueduct. It hides secret caves and treasure under shipwrecks and in other unpredictable hidden locations. Misty forests whisper ancient tales of haunted places. These are just a taste of what the player will find in Wessex, says Eddie Benon. Mood and concept art for the Descent region. The artist produced various landscape explorations that show how light and weather affect the colors and atmosphere of a location. Winchester. Hundreds of hours of work creating concept art and doing technical research went into the final realization of the game. This is what it took to design the agricultural crown of Winchester, Old Minster Cathedral, says Benoon. In the 9th century, the cathedrals were actually quite boring visually, so our goal was to make it impressive and beautiful while still looking realistic. Rochester. The massive stone fortress of Rochester, which was built on the remains of the old Roman fort, is the setting of one of the most epic battles in the game. This is one of the many black and white sketches done to define the layout and silhouette of its location, says Eddie Benoon. Chapter 8, Northumbria. Jorvik. The capital of Northumbria, Jorvik, is ideally located at the crossing of the Ouse and Foss rivers, with trade routes established by its Norse settlers. The city boasts traders and merchandise from all around the world. Dan Yu Chong Yap says of Jorvik's most iconic feature, a mere remnant of its former glory, Hadrian's Wall continues to serve its new masters as a monumental barrier against northern invaders. Doncaster. An Anglo-Saxon burg built on the site of Roman fort before its eventual Norse capture, Doncaster is a strategic staging point between Northumbria and Mercia. The stronghold serves as Halfton's military base of operations in its fight against the invading factions. It also houses a growing Norse town within its walls, says Dan Yu Chun Yup. Explorations of Doncaster civilians, which is all right here. The fall season was a highlight for the lighting team. This concept art showcases sun rays peeking through the golden fall forest. Bandits plot their next attack in their Sherwood Forest hideout, says Dong Yung Chung Yap. Standing stones. The team executed several explorations of standing stones. In the game, the player must solve puzzles involving these mysterious sites. The challenge was to place the stones in different locations while coming up with interesting ways to identify them as puzzles by using environmental elements found in each area, says Dong Chu Yung Yap. Concept explorations to capture the iconic mood, atmosphere, and landscape of Northumbria, says Dong Yung Chung Yap. And then here, these explorations of settlements and harsh environments capture the natural beauty of Northumbria. This concept defines the overall ambience of the Northumbria region, the open landscape, the mountain ridge, and the onset of the winter season, says Raphael Lacoste. This art is by Natasha Tan. An honorable Viking funeral that takes place during one of the quests. The deceased is placed in a boat, set on fire, and pushed off into the river, says Dong Yu Chung Yap. And here, the Vikings hold a celebration while Eivor must track a target in the throng of revelers, says Dong Yu Chung Yap. And on this one, the eastern coast of England offers a great variety of shorelines, from cliffs to coves, beaches, marshlands, and swamps. Navigating with the Drakkar is always challenging and rewarding, says Raphael Lacoste. Lots of locations can be rated in the game and are accessible by boat from news and rivers and shores. Our world offers plenty of opportunities to plunder like a Viking, says Raphael Lacoste. Chapter 9, America and Present Day. The discovery of Vinland, America. After a long sea voyage, Eivor arrives in Vinland to the Vikings, an unknown and untamed land. There, Eivor must track Gorm, Kjolvi's son, who has taken his father's place in the order. These concepts highlight the wilderness and the mountainous qualities of the land, says Dong Yu Chung Yap. Eivor's first sighting of land after a long journey at sea, says Dong Yung Chung Yap. As the Vikings explore the land of America, they find settlements like this one, which belongs to the native Iraqi people, says Dong Yung Chung Yap. Iroquois people, I should say. Native Americans. The artist worked with historians to ensure that the indigenous people's garments were represented authentically and accurately. Assassin's Hideout. The story in the present day begins with assassins Sean Hastings, Rebecca Crane, and Layla Hassan working together in a cabin in New England. The log cabin is modest, decorated with only the bare minimum of furniture, says Gilel Beloyle. This was far from straightforward to design, as we needed to make sure it stayed visually interesting, but it was a good challenge, especially when it came to choosing the correct color for the tablecloth. The cabin serves as home base to Sean, Rebecca, and Layla as they investigate strange phenomena, including rapid fluctuations in the Earth's magnetic field and the remains of a 9th century Viking recently uncovered in North America. Rebecca Crane and Sean Hastings. The pair of assassins have been working together for several years and are now a couple. They assist Layla while she experiences the simulations of Avor's memories and help to operate the Animus. For Rebecca, we wanted to preserve her previous aesthetic, says Kim. A funny anecdote, her beanie is the same color as the one from Ubisoft Montreal's 2019 Christmas party. Kim says regarding Sean's revised design, a few years have passed, so we gave Sean a bit of gray hair, but he has not lost his confidence. And here Layla Hassan. The brilliant engineer assassin looks different from the previous games. Her face is weathered after extended use of the Animus, the complex machine that enables her to read and project her genetic memory. We made her look tired by giving her dark circles under her eyes and a worn-out jacket, says Yellow Kim. Chapter 10, Mythical Worlds in the First Civilization. This is beautiful right here. Asgard. It was creatively exciting to work on the otherworldly Asgard, one of the first mythical worlds our team created for Assassin's Creed, says Raphael Lacoste. Having the occasion to bring this large world to life was a nice challenge for the team. Lacoste and the other artists made it a priority in the concept art to interweave the natural elements of the huge Yggdrasil tree with the architecture of the Hall of Odin at the center of the island. We didn't want Asgard to look like a science fiction world, but more like a dream, says Dong Lu Yu. Realistic elements and distorted perception to make it feel like an otherworldly place. This is the last concept art that I did for Asgard. It presents the final design for the Bifrost Bridge, the tree, and the overall ambiance, says Gilel Beloyle. The home of the Aesir gods. A diverse variety of props were designed to dress up the mythical world of Asgard, not only for aesthetic purposes, but for gameplay as well. Lots of golden and red materials were used as accent colors on the objects, says Dong Lu Yu. Odin. Odin, the king of the Norse gods, is a figure that haunts Avor's visions as they traverse the mythical worlds. Odin's design is derived from his original depiction in old mythology, says Yellam Kim. He is a one-eyed old man wearing a big cloak decorated with runes. This is a view of the Valhalla battlefield. We created an isolating mood with the tree's silhouette in the horizon. It's important to consider the various materials under this kind of backlighting, since each material reflects light differently. I also wanted the sun to have a blinding effect while still allowing the viewer to see the action in the scene, says Gilel Beloyle. Valhalla. Valhalla is the majestic hall in Asgard that is ruled by Odin. I wanted to accentuate the red and gold color of the architecture, and the sunset black light gives it an omnipresent, mystical, and divine feeling to this place, says Dong Lu Yu. The entrance to Valhalla, where Odin's dead warriors fiercely ride their horses still engaged in divine combat, says Dong Lu Yu. Jotunheim. The homeland of the giants, Jotunheim is a rugged and snowy world. The colossal twisted roots of Yggdrasil, the mystic world tree, reach everywhere in the majestic icy land. This is concept art of Trimsalter. These are a few of the of the team's quick initial sketches made to help define the design of the center part of Mimir's well, where the waters of wisdom flow from Yggdrasil. Mimir was among Asgard's wisest men, and Odin transformed him into a talking head without a body, says Eddie Benoon. Jotunheim is represented by beautiful cold nature and the giant roots of Yggdrasil that wrap around the surreal shapes of the mighty mountains. Here the player will also visit Utgardar, the capital of the ancient civilization of the frozen giants, says Eddie Benoon. The House of Angrboda. Angrboda is a powerful witch and the mother of the monsters Hel, Fenrir, and Jormungandr. When designing her home, we wanted the entire place not only to represent her personality, but to be an integral part of the Iron Forest and the roots of Yggdrasil, says Eddie Benoon. The Builder. A unique and mighty hero from the ancient race of the frozen giants, the legendary builder from Asgard. The encounter with this powerful and fearsome 15-foot boss will be a moment for players to remember, says Benoon. Concept art for the first civilization vault hidden under Stonehenge, where the player will discover a legendary weapon. First civilization vault. Our visual direction for Isu, or First Civilization, architecture is consistent throughout the franchise, says Raphael Lacoste. This monolithic architecture makes use of limiting straight angles, obsidian-like materials, and sandstone with spectral light inlays. It helps to maintain a mood of an otherworldly and mysterious ancient civilization in these places, says Lacoste. These concepts represent how the cave looked in the 8th century, where Yggdrasil was frozen in ice. Yggdrasil, the Isu supercomputer. This concept art of Yggdrasil helped the world design teams to establish the general look of the supercomputer and render its massive scale, says Gilel Beloyle. This concept art represents the cave in the present-day storyline where the area is overheated by the giant supercomputer. The ancient structures of the first civilization emit heat and sparks through the stone cracks, says Don Liu. As the creative team formed the resolution of the modern-day story arc, they carefully considered how to reconcile unsolved mysteries and disparate threads from over a decade of Assassin's Creed lore. We asked ourselves how we could take a decade's worth of story and tie some of it together in one fitting resolution, says narrative director Darby McDavid. Many of these paths lead here to the strange Isu temple. I think fans will be happy to see how it all comes together. And that's it. The Art of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This masterfully designed oversized hardcover art book invites the reader on a visual journey through the world of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, a world defined by the harsh beauty of Viking life, rich with fascinating characters and breathtaking landscapes, featuring iconic artwork ranging from stunning settings to brutal weapons, as well as developer insights. Explore the development of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, an insider's look to the first title in the franchise to explore Norse culture and the Viking invasion of England in the 9th century. Ubisoft and Dark Horse Books offer this enticing collection of art and commentary that is sure to attract returning fans and newcomers alike. And that is the book. I want to thank everyone. This video is almost an hour long, so I appreciate you guys sticking with it. Hopefully it put you to sleep, and we'll see you in the next video.